Hi everyone and welcome back. Welcome to my playlist where I'm covering Svelte.js, and in next couple of videos we are going to play with more examples so that we can cover more and more core concepts of Svelte.js. So I have already covered a couple of 10 or 12 different videos where we talked about core concepts of Svelte.js, and it's all about how to write component, how to deal with the forms, how the Svelte.js is different from all the other framework. We have covered a lot of videos and we have covered all those concepts in depth. Now this is all about learning by doing. So we are going to cover as many examples as we can using Sandbox, and we will try to learn as much as we can, because from now onwards I'm going to cover the Svelte.js forms, the data validation in the forms, the routing, single page application, how to manage the store in Svelte.js. All those high level concepts we are going to cover. Before that, just a quick refresher, we can just talk about simple to do app and the data binding. Okay, how to create a variables, like simply let's say I have a to-dos is an array where I'm going to manage all the to-dos, and this is the input which I have. So I'm writing currently the code inside button.js, but we can remove this and we can focus only on appswell.js. Okay, and here I'm writing simple these two variables. These two variables we are going to use in our code, because to-dos is an array and we are going to add new to-do. So we are going to assign the new values inside to-do array. We are going to do the reactive assignment so that to-dos can be updated and new to-do can be updated on the UI. So let's say how we are going to write. So we just create these functions, add to-do, and what we simply do, let's say input is something which we are going to track from the input text field. So let's say we can do the binding of this one. So what do we have? We have simple input text field. Is from the input text field we are getting the value, or we can simply create a simple form, and here on submit, this is a DOM event, right? And or we can just directly call this method add to do whenever you are submitting the form. Event default, this is DOM event modifier, and inside this we have simple input text field, input type text, and we will do the data binding so that whatever you are typing inside the input text field, so we can simply do is bind value. This is how we do the two-way data binding, and we are going to capture the value inside input type text, and the value is input. So this is how we are doing the bind. This should be curly braces and then input type text placeholder. So whatever you are doing this, and we can have simple button. Inside this button, what we are trying to do is simply add. Okay, now what we do is when we type something and add, then what we are doing, we have to add that data inside this to-dos array. So we are going to do the reactive assignment. What we can simply do is to-dos we have, so we are going to assign it back. So this is my existing to-dos, and this is my new object which I'm going to add. So this is the text which is input, and id simply you can just say is math.random dot to string, let's say random with a 36 string, and then we will do a substring of that 2 to 9. So we are just generating a random string for that, and then once this is done, to-dos is assigned, we can set the input to the empty value. Okay, simply to do. And now once we have the to-do list, what we will do, we iterate onto them. And how we can iterate? Simply we can, this is unordered list, and we can write, this is how we write each, and to-dos as to do, to-dos is an array as to do for single iteration, and we can pass the id. todo.id, and this is the closure of this whole block. So here we can write each, and then we can simply add all the logic inside it. Because this is a for each loop, we can add simply the text, like in each what text we are having. So I will just simply finish this with simple HTML, and here what we have is we can have a simple span tag. Inside this span tag we are going to print todo dot text, and we can also have a on click onto this. Let's say how we write a DOM event, on click, and here we can remove this to do item. So how we write a DOM event, on click, and we can pass, we can call remove to do, and we can pass the id todo.id, right? And remove to do I can define. Here I'm taking the id as input. I will just do the filter and assign this back so that we will have the filtered output. So I can say is to do is equal to todos dot filter, remove only that particular to do where id equal to this id, return me all the to do's where id not equal to this. That will give me all the remaining ids, and this is how we can remove the to do. Let's say substring, are we doing something wrong? ToString and dot substring. So simply we are adding these items, and when you do a click, what we are going to do, we are doing on click remove to do. You can see magic. So here I can keep adding 1 2. I mean, I just didn't mention more about the HTML. It's just about the concept, how we are doing it, DOM event with the modifiers, how we are doing the binding of the value, how we are iterating onto the array, how we are writing the DOM events and passing the value. If you already familiar with any of the framework like React, Angular, it's nothing different when it comes to the code, like handling the DOM event, passing the data through the props, sending the callback event to the parent component. All these concepts are kind of similar. The compilation approach and the syntax is different in all these different framework. So let's see in the next video. We are going to cover these small examples, because writing these gives us more confidence.